Facebook famously determined that if a new member invited 10 friends within 14 days, they were hooked for life. So they focused religiously on driving the user experience to this key metric. If you apply this product-based approach to B2B sales, then you can identify those users that are ready to talk. And this method is known as the Product Qualified Lead, or PQL. So if you sell in a freemium, open source, or trial model, then the PQL method is critical to give your sales team visibility into who is ready to talk. So talk to your data team, or better yet, partner with Whaler's team of data scientists to develop a PQL model tailored specifically for your business. You'll be empowered by knowing exactly when a user is ready to convert. To see specific examples, go to getwhaler.com/Andy. That's GETWHALR.com/Andy. And as a bonus, if you sign up to learn more about Whaler and PQLs, then Whaler will send you their optimized 2-page master services contract that you can leverage for your own business free of charge. It's time to accelerate. Hi, this is Andy. Welcome to another edition of Frontline Friday with my regular and very special guest, Bridget Gleason. Now, before we get to the show, Bridget and I have a favor to ask of you. We'd really appreciate it if you took time right now to leave a review for this show on iTunes. And while you're there, click the button, subscribe to Accelerate. Make sure you get Frontline Friday automatically each week. Also, we need to hear from you. More specifically, we need your sales questions. What can we answer for you? What challenges do you have that we can help you with? So go to accelerate.fm/frontline and enter your question there. Each month, we're going to select one listener's question to be the question of the month. And the winner will receive a $50 Amazon gift card. So remember, go to accelerate.fm/frontline to give us your question and maybe win $50. So Bridget, how are you today?
Andy, super fantastic.
Oh, super
Great.
fantastic.
You know what I appreciate, Andy?
Yeah.
I appreciate the enthusiasm in which you introduce each and every show, and in particular me, because I don't get that much of enthusiasm when I walk into this on the sales floor.
Wait, they don't applaud?
They don't stand. They don't applaud. They don't bring out the parade. I'm going to mention that, though, that I think that would go a long way.
Yeah, well, let's send a message to Bridget's sales team. I know you're all listening. And
absolutely. It's a requirement.
It is a requirement. It may not have been before, but I think it is now. And yeah, a little more love for the chief.
Well, they all know when I'm going to go do these podcasts. Like had a bunch of meetings earlier, and then I keep my the headphones and kind of the microphone. And so I'm walking back to a conference room, and somebody said, what are you carrying? What's in your bag? And somebody else said, she's got her podcast today. She's doing her pod. So they all know. They're like, leave her alone. Don't distract her. Don't send her Slack messages.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so for people who've been keeping track, and I'm sure there are many that are counting, this is episode 105 of Frontline Fridays.
Amazing.
105. Coming up on our second anniversary. So that makes sense.
Right? That's special.
Yeah. And just, actually, by the time this airs, we'll have gone past it. But yeah, in real terms, we have another week or so. And then it's, our anniversary. What are we going to do to celebrate our anniversary? You're going to send me flowers?
No, I want to send you something. I need to find a good way to send gifts that are easy. And I don't really know which way to do that right now, but I want to find a good way to do that that's simple and scalable. As soon as I find that, then I'll let you know.
Wow, you've gotten really good at this sort of segue stuff. This is fantastic. So we have a guest with us on the show today who's laughing in the background. You can hear him. And that's Braydan Young, who's co-founder of Sendoso. And I think they do something like that.
Tell us a little bit about Sendoso.
Let's welcome Braydan first. I'm Braydan. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Very happy to be here. I feel like I should have practiced my radio voice way more than actually, when I first got on this, because both of you guys have the perfect kind of voice and the whole, the right vocal fry, if you will, for that podcast.
Hey, this is what 105 gets you.
That's right.
105, Braydan. Listen, 104 more, and you'll be right in the program.
Yeah. Something to look forward to.
Bridget, thanks for the layup too. That was a perfect segue.
No problem.
I wish I could send something. Nicely done. That's like probably the best one I think I've ever gotten.
I think that was fantastic. That's what 104 gets you. Yeah.
That's right.
So Braydan Young, tell us about Sendoso. So, I mean, you guys do something. We have you on the show because you do something really interesting that not many companies do, and for people in a sales development role, people trying to engage with prospects, it's really a clever way of approaching things. So, tell us what you do.
Yeah, so we like to say that we are in the attention-grabbing business, if you will. So we started with doing all types of e-gifts, so sending out coffee and sending out Chipotle gift cards, things like that, trying to get folks to engage over the phone, over email, and then quickly we started adding things that are more physical. So sending things like swag, sending things like cookies, like cupcakes, and
just taking a step back, is these so. The way a company would engage with Sendoso is that the company would buy a certain number of credits, and maybe SDRs then would have the latitude to send initially, like I said, like a Starbucks gift card or a Dunkin' Donuts gift card to a prospect saying, hey, let me buy you your first cup of coffee today.
Exactly.
Yeah, so Andy, I want to use one of my credits to send you like a Dunkin' Donut for our anniversary, something like that. One credit. I'm only willing to use one credit.
One credit.
One Dunkin' Donut.
I don't even know what one credit gets you. So let's hear about it.
Well,
I honestly love this idea.
Well, I'm gonna offline. I'll take you through their catalog. I'll point out the things that you can send me.
All right.
Like the expensive bottle of wine. But go ahead.
Yeah. There's all types of things. I mean, we make it easy. So the goal was everyone has done gifting. Everyone has sent something to a prospect or to a customer. But the problem we saw was none of it was really tracked. So like that donut that you could send to Andy, we track it. So we know exactly when it was opened, when it was used, and all that would be in Salesforce. You'd be like, hey, you haven't used your donut yet. What the heck?
Yeah, have you eaten the donut? Yeah, there's a sensor in the donut. Careful. Yeah. It's a little sharp on the edges.
I send you that. You didn't even use it.
You didn't even use that. It's just like it's sort of like the yesware for donuts, right? Did you open that? We're tracking whether you opened it.
Right.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to eat it?
Exactly. How many times do you come back and take in a bite?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is pretty much what we do. I mean, it's been fun because as the world of account-based marketing and being very personalized in your sales and your marketing has grown and grown, we're the guys who are essentially doing the sending of the items, adding things like handwritten notes to it and all that sort of stuff. So we try to make you look really awesome to your customers, to your prospects, that you know exactly what they're looking for.
So somebody can type in a message and you'll have one of your team handwrite the note.
Yeah. So to kind of give you the full spec of what we can send. So digital, physical type stuff, and then handwritten notes we'd like to include with most stuff that we send out. It's just a nice way to make it very personalized, and then we track it until it actually gets there. So we have warehouses that are now we almost have the whole globe covered of warehouses where we store all those items. Like those folks in there are the ones writing the handwritten notes. So they've actually gone through writing samples. So the writing doesn't look like my writing, like a 5-year-old. They actually have good handwriting.
I was going to ask about that because I have nice handwriting. I would hate for it to really be butchered. So I'm glad that you've done some handwriting analysis.
Yeah, we made a mistake early on where we always try to pair like a Charles with a Charles and a Brittany with a Brittany, right? Because we used to not do that. And when we first started, it didn't make sense. So today we at least have the right person writing the handwritten note. So it actually looks like it came from Braydan and not from Lexi. If that makes sense.
Yeah, so gender matching the writing. So, okay. Well, so tell us. I mean, this is a big topic, right? So last year or 2 years ago, Stu Heineck wrote this great book called "How to Get a Meeting with Anyone," which is really based around this idea of using innovative methods to reach out to someone that you want to set up a strategic meeting with, whether it's a C-level person or whatever. So tell us some ideas that you've used in your own business or that you've seen your customers use that have been really effective in sort of breaking through the noise and engaging the buyer in the way that you are intending to with the service.
Yeah, I wrote down a bunch of ideas that we've seen work really well, and I'll kind of walk through those, and then I have a couple that like I have an outcome for, and some that I don't have an outcome for just yet because they're ongoing. But the first one I wanted to mention was, I'm sure as there used to be a conference season, but now there's conferences all the time. And so I won't say we're going into conference season. I'd say we're just always live in conference season. And some of the best gifting or touch points we've ever seen are around these conferences. And a really cool use case that we've seen work really well is to send a pre-gift before a conference. Let me give you an example.
So
we have a company.
So the point is, you're trying to set up a meeting with someone at that conference.
Exactly. Or to get them to stop by your booth to essentially pick up something else. Like maybe, like the example is we've had folks send a bottle of wine to somebody, only they've locked the bottle of wine. And they've said, hey, like, stop by booth 107 and we'll, give you the code to open that bottle of wine. See you at the show.
How do you... I've never seen a locked bottle of wine. I didn't know you could lock a bottle.
Yeah.
You can lock a bottle?
Yeah.
How do you lock a bottle?
There's these little locks you put on top. So then they fit on top of everything except champagne. And you can lock it where there's a little 3-digit code you have to use to essentially take the lock off. It's good that they didn't have those back when I was in, a long time ago. But like they've, I
don't know. It sounds like I would just break it off at the neck right beneath the lock.
I know.
You could definitely do that, but I think like that'd be kind of a different scenario if in your office you were like, oh, they sent me this bottle, I'm going to tear this thing off the top. It's like, oh, maybe you shouldn't be drinking that.
So there's a lot.
Okay, so that's good. We've got a conference coming up. What are some other ideas?
Yeah, a really cool one.
One
is a kind of a survival kit. So think like, hey, like don't worry about packing. And like in this survival kit, you have things like toothpaste and a toothbrush and dental floss. It's all branded, of course, like aspirin. Like you pretty much include anything within those kits that you send before the actual conference itself, saying, hey, looking forward to seeing you there. It very much changes the conversation as they come by your booth, because it's sort of like, oh, hey, you sent me something, that was, really unique and cool. Thanks so much. So you can do small ones like that. We've done stuff where you've sent like, a nice pair of sunglasses, but like the lenses weren't in there. I don't like those as much. I like the ones where you're incentivizing them to come by your booth. And I think when you do the, kind of the survival type stuff, it kind of changes the conversation with your sales team as, different prospects are walking by.
But you don't lock the survival kit.
Don't lock the survival kit. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Like, hey, you want this toothbrush stuff to get.
Yeah. You want the toothbrush. You got to come by because it's locked. The zipper, it's locked. Okay. Gotcha.
So for that particular technique, you were talking about getting people, let's say, to come by a booth at a conference or to preset a meeting and so on. So what's the emails say that you're sending to someone that you're introducing this idea that we're gifting something to you?
So we typically, with a send like that, we'll include a handwritten note. And in that handwritten note or a handwritten post-it note that goes with that item, that explains, kind of what the send is, why you sent it, why you're looking forward to seeing them at the conference itself, that you'd love to meet with them. You have to do that within 50 words. So that's the max a handwritten note can be. And that we typically we send with the actual item itself.
Okay, so they're not aware this is coming until it shows up on their desk. It's not exactly. It's not like the digital gift card for Starbucks that's in the email itself. This is, hey, it just shows up.
Yeah, exactly. A wine bottle shows up.
Yeah, I just didn't know if you were sending an email saying, hey, we're sending a bottle of wine. There's a...
No, so that's a really good point. And typically when you send something like a bottle of wine or any sort of gift, if you're targeting enterprise type customers, it's sort of a Hail Mary if it's actually going to get to the person or not if you don't warn them before that it's coming. So something that we recommend is if you're targeting a CTO or any sort of C-suite type folks or VP type folks that have a gatekeeper, is you hopefully have engaged with that gatekeeper at some point and you let them know that you're sending something special for their boss, and you thank them, because we have this whole digital side, with maybe a $20 gift card to Starbucks. Say, hey, coffee's on me this week. or hey, like here's $20 at Chipotle, go grab lunch on me. So when you thank them before the item even arrives to expect something, that really helps minimize that object not getting to that top level executive, if that makes sense. If you're targeting aggressive
absolutely.
companies.
And I think that's a critical point that you raise is, people looking at using Sendoso or so on, even doing it on their own, heaven forbid, is that's one of the key things you need to make sure you happen, is that you engage the admin or the assistant who really understands what the C-level person is, what the priorities are, where they're going to be, their calendar, and then thanking them with their own gift card of something is, I think, absolutely essential.
Yeah. I think that also brings up kind of the second idea that I wrote down. So we do a lot of, we call them on-demand gifts. And so we plug into Postmates, and it's really great for sending all types of random items. But the stuff I really like is we're also able to send things like cookies and cupcakes.
Ooh, Bridget,
and sheet cakes.
Bridget, pay attention.
Donut.
No,
I told you, a Dunkin' Donut.
No, cookies.
A Dunkin' Donut hole. Okay, cookies. Okay, gotcha.
We can do Dunkin' too, like via Postmates. But
that's what I think he'd like.
No.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I'm not. Especially no cookies. I prefer cookies. Anyway, go ahead.
But what's interesting about those physical type gifts like that is they involve, we call it kind of like a group type model, where the people that typically buy your solution if you're trying to sell something. So, it involves 3 to 4 different people that make the call on actually seeing your demo in the first place. So when you send an item like cookies or cupcakes that's branded, it's going to involve some sort of group conversation, or like, hey, who sent these? Why do they send them? Like, hey, was there a handwritten note with them? And your handwritten note gets read because everyone's like, when you get flowers and like that, everyone reads that handwritten note. So that's what we want. So we do a lot of on-demand stuff as a door opener before like the first demo is taking place. That's one of the second ideas that I wrote down, we've seen and had a lot of success with.
And you can do that using Postmates. You can do that across the U.S., any major city, or?
We can do that across the U.S. We can also do it in Europe too. Well, in the U.K. and Ireland right now. So not only Europe.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So you said branded, meaning?
Your logo's on there, big right in the middle. Hey, enjoy that cupcake.
You put the logo on the cupcake?
Absolutely, right in the middle of it.
On the donut?
On the donut, we can't do yet. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I think that would be awesome. Okay, but you can put the logo on the cupcake?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's our lead time?
It is about 3 days.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So on demand, but not instantaneous.
Yeah, no, I like that.
We've seen it work really well with like folks that like, hey, you're targeting these 20, 30 accounts and, cupcakes arrive at some point. It's really changes that first or second demo conversation. We have other ones where I think Bridget might like this, where we can do cookies that are shaped as the person's LinkedIn profile picture.
I want those.
They're one of my favorite vendors.
Wait. You mean they just they take your LinkedIn profile picture and they create a frosting picture of it?
So it's not. So it's almost like a sugar cookie that has like the outline of your face and whatever outfit you have on your. If it's not a close-up picture, then LinkedIn, and that's what the cookie shape is.
Okay, that's fantastic. Yes, I'd like that. I have to tell you, I still really like the wine bottle that's locked. I haven't really moved past that idea. I love that.
Yeah, that's a fun one. I mean, we've had I have to be honest, a lot of the ideas we come up with as a team, we do half an hour brainstorms every day. Hey, let's time for 30 minutes and we'll try to think of the wildest ideas we can possibly think of. And the wine one was one that came up because I think someone brought in alcohol for that brainstorm. And we're oh, you know what if you could lock these? And so that was one that most of our ideas come from those meetings. And then all of us at home were watching Shark Tank or talking to our spouses and being hey, what would you send that you'd be oh, I'd respond to that. So those are the majority of ideas that we have
fantastic.
Come
from. Love it. And I like the, so it's just the shape. The cookie's just the shape. It's not.
Oh no, it's the face. The person.
So the nose, you can see the nose and the eyes and so on.
Yeah. I'll send you guys a sample. I think this is a good use case where we should
I
send
think
you
it
guys
is
a sample?
too. I definitely want a sample for sure.
Yeah, I think we each need to see these cookies and the wine.
Yeah, makes sense.
Exactly. I think I see. What else do we need to see?
Well, we need to check this out before we put this episode on the air. I mean, we just need to.
For sure.
Yeah, we need to validate this stuff. Yeah,
absolutely. We have to validate it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's very true.
Let's hold this episode hostage until the gifts arrive.
I think the last use case that I put on here that I wanted to mention that have worked really well are when you involve things around timing. So, as we're recording this podcast, football season is starting to get going. And so we're seeing a lot of success around sending things like jerseys based on who your prospect, what's their favorite team. Maybe send them a jersey for that quarterback, send them a football, and maybe put their, your branded logo on that football. We did a lot of stuff around Game of Thrones type stuff, like sending bottles of wine that are from the Game of Thrones, winemaker. So things like that. It just is the goal is to get attention and to get them to actually give you attention versus your competitor. So when you do things based on timing, it's really cool how the response rate increases based on sending things when you send at the perfect time.
So let's take the wine, for instance, the Game of Thrones wines.
I know we're back at it because that would be a good one as a test.
Yeah,
don't you think?
Not that we want to dwell on alcohol, but so you have. I mean, is this a winery that custom makes the labels for you, or how's sort of give us a little peek behind the scenes in terms of how that production works?
Yeah, so there's kind of two avenues that we take with ideas. Avenue number one is you come to us and say, hey, I don't know what I want to send. This is how much I want to spend. This is who I target. And we can normally generate a couple ideas for you based on what we've seen work.
Mm-hmm.
Avenue number two, which is where the Game of Thrones idea came from, is the company came to us and said, hey, this is what we want to send. We are gigantic Game of Thrones fans, and this is who produces that wine. Can you order it for us on our behalf, or we'll order it and just send it to your warehouse? So we can do both.
Let me guess, that was a tech startup in San Francisco?
It was, yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That was such a good guess. That was a brilliant guess.
That's a wild swing, I know, yeah. Yeah, very cool. And the cookies, same thing. You've identified one bakery, or do you have multiple bakeries you've identified who can do this?
Bakeries are, so a couple of the examples I gave, the cookie ones or the faces, that's one particular bakery. The cupcakes we have one on the East Coast or on the West Coast, one in the middle. It just depends on where and how far you're shipping it. And then what costs are. So costs depend on how many things you're ordering and things like that. So we typically work with 3 to 4, depending on what you're looking for. And then we have a whole different set of vendors within Canada and a different set over in Europe. And different set in APAC, because you want to make sure you're not paying major customs to get things to locations. And one of the biggest issues that we learned the hard way was if you send things international, the person that receives it is going to get a bill for customs, being cool, thanks for the T-shirt, and here's your $10 bill for customs. It's I can't wait to work with these guys.
Right, here's your $100 bill.
Yeah. So we make sure that we have different sets of vendors around the world so we can avoid that and make sure you're not paying an arm and a leg to get something over the ocean.
So give us a sense. I mean, the LinkedIn cookies, the personalized facial cookies, what's that cost?
Yeah. So a good rule of thumb, if you're sending something through us, is a good budget is about $20 to $25. Is what we typically say for those cookies. To buy those cookies, it's about $15 for a dozen. They're pretty inexpensive. Then you have to factor in shipping. Then you have to factor in a handwritten note. Then you have to factor in if it goes through one of our warehouses, there's a small fee to put it all together for you. So $25 is what we typically use as a starting point for, hey, I'm trying to send something. I don't know how to budget for this. I want to send 1,000 of them, or I want to send 100 of them. That's our usual number. I think the biggest thing about account-based marketing that I think is most important is it's called account-based marketing because it's very focused and it's very personalized. So if you have a list of 10,000 prospects you're going after, it's you're starting at the wrong place. You should minimize that to 100 and hey, let's focus on those 100 versus those 10,000.
Right.
Yeah, well, I also want to know how much Bridget was going to be on the hook for. So, okay.
I don't think it's that much to send a donut. I don't think it's quite as much to send a donut.
24 cookies. Well, here's the other thing.
And the wine with the lock on it.
Yeah, you send me a wine with a lock on it. We're going to have words. So, yeah.
I'll send you a beer from San Diego, one of those really hard to find beers when you're stuck in New York and you're like, I really want that one, but I'm nowhere near it.
Yeah,
so we locked.
but locked, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the question. So I'm sure people are wondering, is to some degree, okay, you're saying these really cool looking cookies. Okay, if you guys taste them, do they taste okay?
Absolutely.
I mean, is the wine any good?
Yeah, we've had to taste tests. I mean, like we wouldn't recommend it.
You definitely have to. Yeah. Right. You have to taste test.
Well, I'm assuming
wine,
they did,
the cookies, the beer.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you're just not sure how wine will taste. You got to make sure to test it.
Oh, okay. Absolutely. I
agree. Yeah, previously, Braydan, I don't know, Bridget maybe didn't hear this, but he had said he was going to put me on the tasting committee.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Yeah. I didn't hear that.
As an advisor to the company. As an advisor to the company. Yeah.
All right, good.
Yeah.
This would be in San Francisco for that one.
No problem.
Okay, perfect.
Let's set up a regular time, maybe like a monthly meeting where we have the committee that we all meet to taste things.
Yeah, exactly. That's a brilliant idea.
We can start in the morning with demos and donuts, where we'll talk about some new demos we've done and have donuts.
Exactly.
And
I love it.
Then for lunch we'll do like a lunch and learn type thing and get Chipotle, because we'll make sure that the Chipotle gift cards still work. And then in the afternoon we'll do like a happy hour type thing.
So here's an interesting question: are people really interested to use the Chipotle gift cards, given the in fact, it oftentimes comes with a bonus, which is, some sort of bacterial disease?
Oh, good question. Yeah. We have Panera too. I mean, we have about 30 different restaurants you can go to, some of the large chains.
All right.
But it's a good point.
Yeah, I just want to let people know who are listening that, in case somebody's squeamish about going into your local Chipotle, and God knows why they would be. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So, Braydan, we're going to talk about doing some field research on some ideas. And so what we're going to do is, for all who are listening, is we want to hear what you've done. If you've done this on your own, or if you've used Sendoso, what you've done in terms of, using gifts and incentives to be able to, get the attention, break into that one account and talk to the one C-level person you wanted to talk to, or one key influencer you wanted to talk to that was just impossible until you came up with something really creative that you did, really innovative that you did. And we want to know what that is. And we're going to run a little contest here. And we're going to give you, I think 2 weeks from the time that this episode airs, so 2 weeks from today, to send us your ideas. Tell us what you did. And there's going to be a prize for the winner, right, Braydan?
Absolutely.
I love prizes.
So what's the prize?
The prize is a single donut from Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, perfect.
All right.
No, so the prize is we will get you set up with a free Sendoso account to help you send that idea that you have, or if you don't have Sendoso or looking for a system that does this. So we will pay for your first 6 months on the platform, and then we'll also start you off with $1,000 in account credit that we will credit your account with, that you can use for, hey, I want to send Starbucks gift cards, or even Chipotle if you're brave enough, and we can go from there.
Oh, that's perfect. Okay, well, that's very generous. So here's the deal again. Is you've got 2 weeks from the time this episode airs to send your ideas to me here at Accelerate. So you do it one of two ways. You can send it physically through email, Andy@andypaul.com. I guess that's still virtually, but Andy@andypaul.com. That's the email address to use to send your idea about what you've done that's worked, and helps if we're going to judge based on really what the outcomes you received were as well. And if you want to just do it a little more easy, is go to my website on the lower right-hand corner of my homepage, andypaul.com, red button that says Ask a Question. Click on that and leave us an audio message. Tell us what you did. And the interesting ones, if it's a winning message, we'll play it on the air, and we'll give you some exposure. And the winner, as I said, 3 of us will pick a winner between all those entered, and wow, $1,000 of credit on Sendoso in a free account. Not too bad.
You guys have no idea how many fake names and email addresses I can think up and submissions I can enter.
Friends and family of the employees of this station are not eligible.
That's why I can't use my real name. That's why I've got to make it up.
If all the ideas are around wine and Dunkin' Donuts, then we'll know it's you.
Right.
It's going to be so obvious.
So the first one we get is from Bridget Gleason. Yeah.
Exactly. And she wants to know about Dunkin' Donuts with a lock on it.
Lock on the package. Now, mine will be Bridget, do you even eat Dunkin' Donuts?
I do not eat donuts.
See,
I don't eat donuts. In fact, somebody came in the other day eating a donut, a Dunkin' Donut. And I said, "What are you eating?" I said, "Is that a donut?" He said, "Yeah, it's a Dunkin' Donut." I said, "I had no idea people ate those." I really didn't. There's a whole bunch of Dunkin' Donuts here. It's been a mystery to me how they've stayed in business, but I don't eat.
Well, gosh, they're expanding all over. I remember my first job selling. This was years ago when people still did these type of things. There was a guy who would show up every morning into the sales room, bullpen, and this is when you could smoke indoors. he'd have a cigarette, a lit cigarette between his lips. A donut in one hand, usually probably a Dunkin', and a tab in the other hand.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And this every morning. Every morning, Don showed up at the office with a donut. Of
course, his name is Don too. This makes it even better.
Hello,
a donut, a cigarette, and a tab. And this is not going to surprise anybody to know that Don had ulcer problems not soon thereafter.
I'm sure Don maybe also had the 3 martini lunch, sort of thing, which would have added to that.
Yeah, I don't know if he did, but boy, that donut and cigarette and the tab were ever present. So, cookies, Bridget. Just think cookies.
I'm first thinking about how I can win the prize. So,
all right,
whatever.
All right. So again, for people, send your entries. Most innovative method you use to gifting or incentives for buyers to get that big, important strategic meeting you were trying to get. What the outcomes were, send it to me at andy@andypaul.com or go to andypaul.com homepage, click the red button, leave us an audio message, and Bridget, or is that Gidget? And I will.
I'm not telling.
And we'll judge the contest and we'll announce the winner in a couple weeks, and the winning prize, as I said, is 6 free months of a Sendoso account, plus they're going to kickstart your account with $1,000 worth of credit. That's a lot of Starbucks gift cards or a number of bottles of wine, I imagine.
That'd be very true.
So very cool. All right, well, Braydan, this has been a lot of fun. We're going to have you back on when we announce the winner. And,
perfect.
We look forward to that.
Yeah, it'll be good to talk to you again when you congratulate me on my win.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, you'd see, Bridget, you're discouraging everybody from entering. We want to let people know she's just kidding. And we know how to screen her out. So, okay, good. Well, Braydan, thank you. Bridget, as always, it's been a pleasure.
Until next time.
And hopefully I'll have my cookies. Otherwise, there may not be a next time, but never mind. Okay. All right.
Message received.
Message received.
All right.
Exactly.
And everybody listening, if you want to send me cookies too, that'd be great. So until next time, Bridget, friends, thank you for spending this time with us. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Look forward to hearing from you. We look forward to talking to you next week. See, I'm so excited about these gifts. I can't even talk. Thanks again for joining us. Talk to you then.
All right. Take care.